Okay, box office top 10 this week at 13, Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Which I enjoyed. I mean, I really enjoyed Daffy Duck and Porky Pig fighting against space aliens via bubblegum. I thought it was fun.
Number 10 is Avatar, Fire and Ash.
9th week on release, a staggering amount of money taken. And so I think, a palpable hit, although I thought it was really dull.
Whistle is number 9 here and nowhere over there.
Yeah, kind of so-so horror movie. It kind of unmemorable. Doesn't surprise me that it's only gone in at number 9. It's sort of okay. It's passable.
Zach from Seattle, Washington, a state of America, is how he signs. Hello from across the Atlantic. I've been a listener for over a decade, going back to my wonderful years of living in London. I kept you in my ears as life brought me back across the Atlantic to my origin city of Seattle. Many weeks, your witterings are one of the few gasps of sanity I can enjoy as the world swings erratically from chaos, capital K, to wicked, capital W, seemingly having entered its late-stage Goldblumium era. And so it is with great pleasure that I may finally be able to write in with some helpful notes on a fairly American topic, basketball terminology.
Right.
Okay. In the latest pod, during Mark's review of Whistle, he's searching for the words to describe the winning act of point scoring in basketball.
Yes.
He begins at first with net before pivoting to basket. While basket is colloquially correct here, the technically correct and therefore the best kind of correct is field goal, as in the player has just scored the winning field goal.
Okay.
So there you go. Tinkety tonk and down with closed minds, cowardice, and those who fear themselves. Up with the unusual and proud, and all that kind of good stuff. Zach from Seattle.
The thing that I have gleaned from watching movies, and bear in mind I know nothing about basketball other than what I've seen in movies, is that as long as your feet have left the ground at the point that the timer runs out, the ball flying in the air and then going to can take as long as it wants. And of course, whenever they do it in movies, it takes 5 minutes because they go into slow motion. You see everybody looking at it, but I think that's how it works.
Yes. Anyway, basket's fine. Field goal. Is worth remembering.
Very
Number
good.
8 is Stitch Head,
which I enjoyed. I thought it was amiable fun.
Number 7 is Hamnet. Number 16 in America.
6th week in the charts, still doing very well, and obviously shaping up as a big awards contender. We'll talk about this more later on, but I think Jessie Buckley is a dead lock for Best Actress now, certainly at the BAFTAs, and I would also say at the Oscars.
Number 6 here, number 5 in America, Zootropolis 2.
Again, 12th week, just it's the gift that keeps giving.
That there, Amanda Seyfried. UK number 5, number 11 in America is The Housemaid.
Which I'm honestly astonished at how well The Housemaid has done. I mean, I really had no idea that it was going to have this kind of success. So that just goes to show critics don't know nothing.
Send Help, number 4, here and there.
Yeah, this is the Sam Raimi horror, satire, adventure, survival romp, which I thought was terrifically good fun. I mean, I saw it at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, and I spent the whole of the rest of the day with a smile on my face because I enjoyed it so much.
Crime 101 is a new entry at number 3.
This, to me, is a terrific heist movie. I thought it was a really, really well put together heist film. I love a good heist film. I mean, it refers back to a bunch of movies that I like. People have made kind of comparisons with Heat, but I think it refers back. I mean, obviously, there's a whole conversation about Bullet in it, but I thought it was really well done. It does that thing that you really want a heist movie to do. You get all the mechanics, all the plot mechanics, all that stuff, but you also get character development, and it's about something. And I think it is about something, the value that we put on things and how we assess our own success. I thought it was a really smart film.
Adam Ferrand says, Dear Bullet and the Thomas Crown Affair, long-term listener, Vanguardista, multiple-time emailer, I write this having just seen Crime 101 in only my second visit to the cinema so far this year. I went in expecting a fairly passable thriller with some big names and enough intrigue to fill a couple of hours on a Sunday morning. What I got was without doubt one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
I'm so pleased.
Hemsworth, Ruffalo, Berry et al. Are all on point, and it would be remiss of me not to mention the superb score from Blank Mass that perfectly complemented the film in every way. I look forward to seeing what's next from Bart Layton, and if anything in 2026 can top this. Thank you, Adam. Right. Okay, that's...
I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased about that.
That's number 3 in America as well as over here. Nick says Mark Ruffalo takes another step closer to his Columbo destiny. That would be fun. By the way, if you want, and seeing him as a cop, if you get a chance to see Task, which is a cop show which is absolute. I'm sure it's going to come back for another series. I saw it on Sky. I think it's HBO. I think they have it at Sky Atlantic. But Mark Ruffalo in Task is a TV highlight for sure. And number 2, but number 1 in America is GOAT.
This is more basketball. So a GOAT aspires to be the greatest of all time.
Yes.
Basketball players, animated sports comedy. It's my friend Van Connor, who's a critic. He's pointed out that it's basically Air Bud meets Zootropolis, and he's quite right. I mean, it's colourful to look at, but there's not. I mean, I'm not interested in the sport, and I'm not particularly interested in this particular rendition of it. I mean, it's Sony Pictures Animation, and it isn't K-pop Demon Hunters, so it's all right. I mean, I'm surprised it's done as well as it has. But then again, I said I was absolutely staggered that Housemaid has done as well as it has.
So, number 1 in the UK and number 2 in America is Wuthering Heights.
Yes, we must have correspondence.
In inverted commas, yes. First of all, an English lecture courtesy of Sue Sorensen, BA, MA, PhD in literature, third prize for poetry, 1979 Saskatchewan Writers Guild Awards, and she is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Great.
Dear Charlotte and Emily, those critical of the casting of a white Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff in the new Wuthering Heights are jumping to conclusions. While scholars have raised the possibility that Heathcliff might have arrived in Liverpool from Africa or otherwise been a person of colour, Emily Bronte's novel never mentions Africa, and while Heathcliff is called 6 times a gypsy, it is nearly always in dialogue from characters who hate him. Nellie, our primary source of information, says only that he has black hair and black eyes. Catherine's eyes are also black. Nellie tries to comfort Heathcliff with the idea that maybe his, quote, his father was Emperor of China and your mother was an Indian queen. I wonder if readers have taken literally Bronte's liberal use of the adjective black. She often means dark or sinister, not a skin colour. If we accept that Heathcliff is described unambiguously as anything, we ignore the challenging narrative structure of Wuthering Heights. There is no reliable narrator. First, we listen to Lockwood, the outsider, the only person who overtly describes Heathcliff's skin colour, quote, a dark-skinned gypsy in aspect, in dress, and manners a gentleman, end of quote. Lockwood seems objective, although his reliability is frankly debatable, as anyone else's in this strange, fantastic book. The majority of the novel has Nellie narrating the story to Lockwood, and within Nellie's story are retold conversations from the considerable past. So, Emily Bronte herself doesn't tell us anything about Heathcliff's ethnicity. Since not a single character says he is black, it's more likely he's Romany. Heathcliff's place of origin might be almost anywhere in Southeast Europe or Asia. All we have are hints. Yours in close reading, Sue Sorensen. So I think that's very interesting. But my point would be, if his place of origin might be almost anywhere in Southeastern Europe or Asia, he's not going to look like Jacob Elordi. And if he is a dark-skinned gypsy in aspect, he's not going to look like Jacob Elordi. But anyway, it's nice to be schooled on these things.
Yes. I mean, the only thing I was to say, there is definitely a thing in the novel in which somebody speculates that he might be Lascar, Lascar, and I looked that up, and that is a sailor from India or Southeast Asia. But it is all absolutely speculative. But thank you for that very, very thorough and very informed thing. But I still agree with some of that from all of those things, I don't think he looks like Jacob Elordi.
Yes. Have you seen that poem from a long time ago, Whitey on the Moon?
No.
It's a fantastic poem, and I'll look up at an appropriate moment who does it. Very famous African-American poet. And it's all about Whitey on the Moon. So I was just think of this as Whitey on the Moor, because, whatever he is, he doesn't look like that. Anyway.
Is Whitey on the Moon from like 1916? Is it from
yes.
The time of the Harlem Cultural Festival when there was a whole bunch of stuff about, they might be sending a man to the moon, but they're not fixing anything down here? It's
exactly that.
Okay,
yes.
Fine.
So that was Whitey on the Moon, and this is Whitey on the Moor. Marianne Mitchell from Ware in Hertfordshire. Born in Yorkshire, where actually it's dry and sunny quite often. Mark and Simon, if you're a purist, you'll wince at how freely the film rewrites the novel. But if you approach it as a heightened pantomime-style riff on the story, it's an enjoyable, visually lush couple of hours.
Yes.
Some rewrites work. Dropping the clunky Lockwood framing is a mercy. Others land far less well. Transforming Nellie from a tough, gossiping Yorkshire servant into a refined, drifting companion removes a key emotional anchor. Many characters are unrecognisable, from Earnshaw recast as a Dickensian villain to a bizarrely kink-leaning Joseph. Thrushcross Grange becomes an absurdly opulent Barbie mansion, and the second half of the novel, Cathy's daughter, Hareton, the generational tragedy, is completely deleted. As you mentioned last week, Mark, that is almost always the case. And yet every so often a line from the original text slips through, and the final scene with Heathcliff's famous cry of anguish moved me deeply, not because of the film's story, but because it briefly captured the soul of the book that I adore. Jimmy from Not So Sunny Scarbados. Dear Sturm and Drang, and Gary Strang. Mark used the words preposterous and ridiculous at least once in his review, and it is preposterous, ridiculous, overwrought, overripe, bonkers, melodramatic, histrionic, and absurd. So essentially every 19th century Gothic novel. In our screening, many of the scenes involving fish fingers, barking women, and a completely redactable opening sequence that thankfully wasn't in 3D were greeted with titters from the rest of the audience, whilst one particular pop-up book was met with loud laughter and cheers. I also loved the claustrophobic set design and the lurid colour palette that reminded me of Hammer Horror and Mario Bava, with the costumes, particularly Margot Robbie's wardrobe, seemingly inspired by Grimm's fairy tales. Despite all this energy, I left the film feeling slightly underwhelmed, mainly due to the chemistry between the two leads. Margot Robbie is an exceptional actor. Jacob Elordi is an exceptional actor, but sometimes two rights do make a wrong, and I never felt as though the two characters embodied the mutually destructive elemental force required for the story to emotionally resonate with me. It felt more like spells of mild moorland drizzle than Hurricane Heathcliff. Martin Clunes, on the other hand, absolutely crackles like a roaring log fire.
He's the star of the film,
playing the grotesquely genial father. How odd to be grotesquely genial, but it's absolutely right. Often funny, frightening, and utterly pathetic. A shout out also to the wonderful soundtrack that accompanied our drive home from the cinema. Love the show, Steve, from Jimmy. And speaking of Martin Clunes, dear Violet Swirl and Anita Bush, third-time emergency emailer, medium-term listener, your podcast is without a doubt my favourite in our house. It's referred to as just the podcast. When I knew that I was going to be in Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights.
Hang on. This is from Martin Clunes.
It is, yes. There was.
When you said speaking of Martin Clunes, I didn't mean to think about this is from Martin Clunes.
It is. When I knew that I was going to be in Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, there was, amongst the excitement of getting the gig, a tiny cloud in my mind. Oh no, I'm going to land on your desks. Simon's going to say it's not like the book, and Mark's going to say I chewed the scenery and then get cross about Nativity 3 again. But no. Thank you very much indeed for the kind things that you say. And Simon, yes, I really did enjoy myself to the max. This is my favourite bit of the email. From the first phone call with Emerald to my last shot of the film, lying still, trying not to blink with a mouthful of vomit, waiting for Margot Robbie to kick me in the head. It's been a total joy. And now a kind mention on your podcast. The job really is the gift that keeps on giving. Imagine that, lying on the floor, mouthful of vomit, presumably concocted by props, waiting for Margot Robbie to kick you in the head. Life is great. May your tongue be tinked and up with everything. Still loving the show, Stephen. Please say hi to Jeremy. Best wishes, Martin Clunes.
That's brilliant. And as we did say, he is the absolute star of the film. He steals the show.
Redactor Simon correctly points out that it's Gil Scott-Heron, of course it is, who did Whitey on the Moon.
Right,
and it
fine.
And it was 1970.
Thank you. Well, there we go. It wasn't a bad guess, was it?
So it's worth looking it up because it is infectious. And because I'd seen it like sometime this year, that's why the whole Whitey on the Moor thing seemed to be relevant. But Gil Scott-Heron was a genius.